The night was silent on Outpost 47, a small human research base orbiting a dying blue moon. The air inside the dome smelled of metal and dust. Soldiers slept, machines hummed softly, and only one man was awake, Lieutenant Ryan Cole. Ryan had seen too much war. He joined the mission to protect scientists studying strange alien energy, not to fight again. But fate never gave him peace. He was walking near the energy chamber when he heard it, a sound like a small cry. It was soft, almost like a child calling for help. Ryan froze. No one else was supposed to be in this section. He followed the sound, heart beating fast. Behind a fallen pipe and scattered debris, he saw her, a small alien girl. Her skin glowed a soft blue under the flickering lights. Her eyes were wide and scared. She was trembling, holding a broken crystal device close to her chest. Ryan whispered, "Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you." The little alien looked at him, then at the door behind him, and suddenly screamed, "They're coming!" Before Ryan could ask who, the lights went red. The alarm blared. Shadows moved fast through the corridor, tall figures with glowing blades. The intruders were alien soldiers, their armor sharp and dark, their movements too fast for human eyes. Ryan didn't know who they were or why they were attacking, but he knew one thing: the child was in danger. He grabbed his blaster and fired, shouting, "Run!" The child hesitated, but Ryan pushed her behind a crate and stood in front of her. Energy blades clashed against the walls as the attackers rushed in. Ryan fought with everything he had, his blaster flashing blue light through the smoke. One alien blade sliced across his arm. Another cut through his armor. He fell to one knee, but he didn't stop. The child screamed again as one soldier aimed at her. Ryan threw himself in front of the attack. The blade went through him. Burning pain exploded in his chest. Then another, and another. He took 8 strikes before the world went dark. His last thought before falling was of the little girl's glowing eyes. She whispered something he couldn't understand. A word that sounded like a prayer. Then everything went silent. When Ryan opened his eyes again, the air was cold and strange. The ceiling above him wasn't human-made. It shimmered with a light like water. He was lying in a bed that felt too soft, covered in silver sheets. Tubes ran into his arm. He turned his head slowly and froze. Around him stood tall, blue-skinned beings dressed in shining armor. Their eyes glowed softly, like stars under the sea. Their faces were calm but filled with power. One of them, wearing a crown of silver light, stepped forward. Her voice was calm but strong. "You protected one of our royal children," she said. "You took the blades meant for her. You saved our bloodline." Ryan blinked, barely able to speak. Where am I?" "In our world," she said. "The child you saved is safe. She begged us not to let you die." Ryan turned his head. There she was, the same small alien girl sitting beside him, holding his hand with her glowing fingers. Her big eyes looked up at him, full of emotion. "You didn't let me die," she said softly. "Now we won't let you." Ryan's chest ached. Not just from pain, but from the strangeness of it all. He was a human soldier, lying among alien royalty. Another armored warrior stepped closer, resting a hand on the hilt of a shining sword. "Among our people," he said, "honor is repaid with honor. You took 8 blades for one of us. Now 8 of our finest warriors will guard you, until your debt is repaid in light." Ryan stared at them in disbelief. "Guard me? Why?" The queen answered. "Because you have done what no human ever has. You bled for one of us without fear. That makes you one of us now." The little alien girl smiled, her tiny hand gripping his tighter. "You're my protector," she whispered. "And I am your family now." Ryan didn't know what to say. The pain in his chest was sharp, but his heart felt strangely light. Outside the glowing room, alien soldiers bowed their heads as the queen spoke ancient words. Blue light filled the chamber, wrapping around Ryan like a blessing. He didn't understand their language, but he felt it, a promise. The promise that this was only the beginning. Because deep inside that alien world, not everyone agreed that a human deserved to live among them. And soon, Ryan Cole would have to fight again. Not for survival, but for peace between 2 worlds. Ryan woke again to the soft hum of alien machines. The light in the room shifted like moving water, blue and calm. The pain in his chest had faded. replaced by a strange warmth that felt alive. He tried to sit up, but a voice stopped him. "You should rest," said one of the alien warriors, her armor glowing faintly. She had sharp, silver eyes and spoke perfect English, though her tone was cold. "Your body is still healing." Ryan glanced around. The tall figures from before were gone, except for this one, and the little alien child, asleep in a chair beside him, her small hand still wrapped around his arm. "Where's the queen?" he asked quietly. "Preparing your ceremony," the warrior said, not looking at him. "You are to be honored today." Ryan frowned. "Honored? For what?" "I just did what anyone would do." The warrior's expression tightened. "No. Most humans would have run." She looked at him then, her eyes bright but unreadable. "But you didn't. And now, that act binds you to us." Ryan didn't understand. "Binds me?" She stepped closer, her armor shimmering under the alien lights. "Our laws are ancient. Saving royal blood is not a small act. You are under the oath of the Eight. It means your life and ours are now tied." Ryan blinked, confused. "Tied how?" The warrior tilted her head. "If you die, one of us dies too." He froze. "Wait, that can't be right." "It is." Her tone was calm, but her eyes flickered with something, maybe anger, maybe fear. "That is why some of us do not agree with the Queen's decision." Before Ryan could reply, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Two more aliens entered. One of them the Queen herself, her silver crown glowing like moonlight. Behind her came another warrior, taller than the rest, carrying a long spear that pulsed with light. The Queen smiled softly at Ryan. "You're awake. That's good." Ryan nodded, still feeling weak. "You didn't have to do this for me." The Queen's gaze softened. "You protected our child. We cannot forget such a thing. Today, we make your place among us official." She raised her hand, and the spear-bearer stepped forward. The weapon glowed brighter, casting light across the walls. The child beside Ryan woke and smiled up at her queen. Ryan sat up slowly. "What happens now?" The Queen's tone turned ceremonial. "You are to be marked. Not as one of us, but as one who stands between our kind and yours. A bridge of blood and courage." Before he could speak, the spear's light flared. It hovered above his chest, and a symbol burned faintly into his skin. Not painful but powerful. The mark shimmered like a star, pulsing with each heartbeat. Ryan gasped softly. The alien child touched the mark and whispered, "Your family now." Everyone bowed except the silver-eyed warrior, who stayed still, her hands gripping her sword. When the ceremony ended, the Queen approached Ryan quietly. "There are things you must know," she said. "The ones who attacked your base were not soldiers of our world. They were exiled, rebels who believe no human deserves to live." Ryan's heart sank. "And the girl?" "She is their target," the Queen said softly, "because she carries something sacred, a gift from the stars. They wanted to use it, to destroy both our people and yours." Ryan looked down at the small alien girl. She was so quiet now, her glowing eyes distant. "She's just a child," he said. "Yes," the Queen whispered. "But in her veins runs the power of creation. The same energy your scientists were trying to understand." Ryan suddenly understood everything. Why the rebels attacked, why she was on the outpost, why he had been stabbed 8 times for her. The Queen continued. "We are preparing for war, Ryan Cole. But if peace is ever to exist, it must begin with trust." Ryan looked up. "You want me to fight with you?" The Queen nodded. "Not as a soldier. As a guardian." The room fell silent for a long moment. Then Ryan spoke softly. "If it means keeping her safe, I'll do it." The Queen smiled faintly. "Then may your courage guide you." As she turned to leave, the silver-eyed warrior stayed behind, her gaze hard and cold. "Be careful, human," she said quietly. "Not all who smile at you wish you to live." Ryan frowned. "You don't trust me." Her voice was almost a whisper. "Trust isn't the word. I just know what humans do when fear rules them." Before Ryan could reply, she left, her armor gleaming in the dim light. The little alien girl looked up at him and said softly, "Don't listen to her. I trust you." Ryan smiled weakly. "Then that's enough for me." But deep inside, he could feel it. The unease, the tension, the way the other warriors looked at him. He wasn't just a guest in this alien world anymore. He was a symbol, and symbols often bleed first when war begins. Days passed, and Ryan's body healed faster than anyone expected. The alien medicine worked like magic. His wounds closed, his strength returned, and the strange glowing mark on his chest pulsed softly, like it was alive. But peace never truly came. Every time Ryan walked through the alien halls, he could feel the stares. The warriors bowed to their queen, but kept their distance from him. Their armor gleamed like silver rivers, and their voices fell to whispers whenever he passed. Only the little alien child, Lyra, as he learned her name, treated him like family. She followed him everywhere, her small hands sometimes holding his sleeve. She told him stories about her people, how they were born from the light of dying stars, and how the rebels once tried to erase that light forever. Ryan listened quietly, though deep inside something bothered him. The rebels had attacked with precision. Someone had told them where to strike, where the child would be. It couldn't be luck. Someone had betrayed them. One evening, the queen invited Ryan to the observatory. From there he could see their world, endless oceans of blue light, and great floating cities that moved like living ships across the sky. "This is our home," the queen said softly. "Beautiful but fragile." Ryan nodded. "You're afraid the rebels will come here?" She turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly. "They already have." Ryan's breath caught. "What do you mean?" The queen gestured toward the horizon. In the distance, a dark shape hung among the stars, a shadowed vessel, unmoving, silent. "Our watchers found it yesterday," she said. "A ship cloaked beyond our defenses. They call it the Phantom Star. It doesn't answer any calls." Ryan stared at it. "Rebels?" "Most likely," the queen said. "But they have not attacked yet. They are waiting." Ryan frowned. "Waiting for what?" The queen looked down. "For someone inside our palace to open the gates." Ryan froze. "You think there's a traitor?" The queen nodded once. "And I fear they are close." Later that night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He walked through the silver corridors, the strange light reflecting off the walls like rippling water. His thoughts were heavy. Lyra was asleep in her room, guarded by two silent warriors. Ryan had promised her she'd be safe, but now he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. He passed a narrow hall and stopped. Voices echoed softly from behind a half-open door. He moved closer. "The human is dangerous," said a deep, cold voice. "He carries the mark, but he does not belong. His kind brings war." Ryan recognized the tone. It was the silver-eyed warrior, the one who had never trusted him. Another voice whispered, "The queen protects him. If we go against her command, we'll be exiled." "She is blinded by the child's affection," the first voice hissed. "But I saw the files. The humans were studying our power. They wanted it for themselves." He knew what they were doing. Ryan's pulse quickened. They thought he was part of the plan that caused the attack. The second voice lowered to a whisper. "Then what do we do?" There was a long silence. Then the silver-eyed warrior spoke again, her tone dark. "We watch him. And if he turns against us, we end him." Ryan backed away quietly, his heart pounding. He didn't want to believe it, but something about her words felt too certain, too planned. Then from down the hall, a shadow moved, fast and silent. Ryan turned, but the figure vanished before he could see who it was. He followed, his instincts sharp, until he reached the lower corridors, the ones beneath the palace. The air was colder here, the lights dimmer. Strange energy hummed through the walls. Suddenly, he heard a sound, like metal scraping softly. He turned a corner, and saw a figure kneeling near the energy conduits, connecting something to the wall. It was small, quick, and wrapped in dark robes. "Hey!" Ryan shouted. The figure spun, its eyes glowing red. Before he could react, the figure threw a small sphere at him. It exploded in a flash of blue smoke. Ryan stumbled back, coughing, but managed to tackle the figure before it could escape. The hood fell away, and his blood ran cold. It wasn't a rebel. It was one of the Queen's guards. The alien hissed, trying to reach for a blade, but Ryan grabbed his wrist. "Why?" he demanded. "You're one of them." The guard's expression twisted with hate. We were supposed to rule the stars alone. No months. No peace. Then he pressed something on his wristband, and a sharp alarm cut through the palace. The lights turned red. Ryan looked up and saw the energy conduits glowing dangerously. The device the traitor had planted was pulsing faster and faster. Security breach. A voice shouted through the halls. The guard grinned bitterly. Too late. Ryan barely had time to think. He ripped the device free from the wall and threw it as far as he could, just before it exploded. The blast threw him across the corridor, slamming him against the metal. His vision blurred, ears ringing. When he looked up, the traitor was gone. Moments later, armored warriors rushed in, weapons drawn. The silver-eyed commander knelt beside him, eyes narrow. "What did you do?" she demanded. Ryan tried to speak, but could barely breathe. "There's a traitor," he gasped. Inside. Her expression flickered, unsure whether to believe him. Then the queen's voice echoed through the hall. "Find the one who did this. And protect the human." The commander stared at Ryan for a long time, then nodded reluctantly. "You just made things complicated, human," she said. Ryan smiled weakly. "Story of my life." But as they lifted him to his feet, he looked toward the stars, and saw it again. That dark ship still waited in the sky. And deep down Ryan knew. The shadow wasn't just out there among the stars. It was inside the palace too. Ryan awoke to the sound of soft, rhythmic beeping. His head ached, his arms were wrapped in bandages again, and the familiar blue light shimmered around him. Ryan awoke to the sound of soft, rhythmic beeping. His head ached, his arms were wrapped in bandages again, and the familiar blue light shimmered around him that he was back in the alien infirmary. Beside him sat Lyra, the little alien child, her silver eyes filled with worry. "You're awake," she said, her voice trembling with relief. "I thought you were gone again." Ryan tried to smile, though every muscle hurt. "I'm harder to kill than that." The door opened with a quiet hiss. The queen entered, her elegant armor shining softly in the light. Behind her was the silver-eyed commander, still watching Ryan like a hawk. "You saved many lives," the queen said gently. "The explosion could have destroyed half the lower wing." Ryan's expression hardened. It wasn't the rebels. It was someone inside. "One of your own." The queen's face darkened. "I know. We found his remains after the blast. He was one of our energy engineers, someone I trusted." Ryan sat up slowly. "That ship outside. They're waiting for something. Maybe a signal. That bomb might have been it." The commander crossed her arms. "You assume too much, human." Ryan gave her a tired look. "And you trust too easily." The tension between them grew thick, but the queen raised a hand. "Enough. There is truth in his words. The rebels cannot strike unless they know where to aim." Ryan looked at her, eyes sharp. "Then tell me the truth, your majesty. Why are they after Lyra?" The queen hesitated. For the first time since he met her, she looked uncertain, almost afraid. "Because," she said finally, "Lyra is not just a child." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" The queen took a slow breath. "Long ago, our world's energy came from a living source, the heart of Auralis. It gave us light, life, and power. But centuries ago, the heart began to fade. Our scientists tried to preserve it, to transfer a fragment of that power into a new vessel." Her eyes softened as she looked at the little girl. That vessel was Lyra. Ryan's eyes widened. "You put that energy, that power, into her?" "She was born from it," the queen said quietly. "Her body carries the last spark of the heart. She is the living core of our world. If she dies, our world dies with her." Ryan felt the air grow colder. That's why the rebels attacked the outpost. They wanted to take her, or destroy her. The queen nodded. To them, Lyra represents weakness, the blending of creation and compassion. They believe our kind should rule through force, not through balance. Lyra looked down, small and frightened. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered. "I just want to be normal." Ryan reached out, gently taking her hand. "You're more than normal, kid. You're hope." The queen smiled sadly. "And hope is the first thing tyrants fear." Later that night, Ryan walked to the observation deck. The dark ship still hovered above the horizon, unmoving, a silent threat. The silver-eyed commander joined him, standing a few feet away. The light from the stars reflected off her armor. "You think the rebels will attack soon?" she said quietly. "I know they will," Ryan replied. "That explosion wasn't meant to kill anyone. It was meant to test your defenses." The commander was silent for a moment. Then she said, "You're different from what I expected, human. Most of your kind seek power. You protect a child that is not yours." Ryan gave a small shrug. "Doesn't matter what she is. She's just a kid trying to survive. That's enough reason." The commander's eyes softened slightly. "Perhaps, that is what makes you dangerous." Ryan smirked. "I'll take that as a compliment." But before either could say more, the alarms began to wail. The lights flickered red. Voices echoed through the halls. Urgent, panicked. The commander touched her communicator. "Report." A soldier's voice crackled through. "Unknown energy surged from the sky. The Phantom Star is activating its weapon." Ryan ran to the viewport and froze. The dark ship was glowing now, its surface rippling with molten light. A massive sphere of energy gathered beneath it, humming with deadly power. The commander shouted, "Shields up. Evacuate the lower levels." But the Queen's voice cut through the chaos, calm but firm. "No. They're not firing on the city. They're targeting this palace." Ryan's blood went cold. "They want Lyra." The Queen turned toward him, her expression unreadable. "You must take her and run. There is a hidden escape path beneath the royal chambers. It leads to the ocean towers. You'll be safe there." Ryan shook his head. "No. I'm not leaving you to face that ship alone." The Queen smiled faintly. "You will do as I command, Guardian of the Eight Blades. Protect the child. That is your duty." Ryan looked at Lyra, who had just entered the room, frightened and trembling. "What about you?" he asked. The Queen placed a gentle hand on the girl's face. "I will hold the line." The floor trembled as the first blast struck the shields, sending a wave of blue light through the walls. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand. "Come on. We're getting out of here." The commander looked at the Queen one last time. "May the stars protect you." The Queen nodded. "And may they forgive me for what I must do." Ryan didn't have time to ask what she meant. As he and Lyra fled down the corridor, the Queen turned to face the window. Her crown glowed brighter, her armor shifting with energy. She whispered softly to herself, "The heart must survive, even if I do not." Outside, the sky burned with light as the rebel ship began its final descent. And deep beneath the palace, Ryan realized something terrifying. The Queen's words weren't just a promise. They were a farewell. The palace shook like thunder. Screams echoed through the shining halls as explosions burst outside, lighting the sky in waves of red and blue. The once peaceful city of Auralis, bright and endless, was now burning. Ryan ran, holding Lyra's hand tightly as pieces of the ceiling fell around them. The ground trembled with each impact. Behind them, soldiers shouted, weapons flaring as they tried to hold back the invading forces. "Keep your head down," Ryan yelled. Lyra nodded, tears streaking down her glowing blue cheeks. Her small voice trembled. "They're here for me." "Not if I can help it," Ryan said, guiding her through a corridor filled with smoke. The alarm screamed louder. Blue emergency lights flickered. He could hear the sound of alien soldiers shouting in their strange language, some defending, others falling. Then the silver-eyed commander appeared from the side hall, her armor scorched, her sword blazing with light. "This way," she shouted. Ryan and Lyra followed her through the chaos. The corridor opened into a massive chamber with tall windows showing the burning sky. Outside, the rebel ship loomed above the city like a dark god, launching energy blasts that tore through the atmosphere. "What about the Queen?" Ryan asked breathlessly. The commander's jaw tightened. "She's still in the throne chamber. She won't leave. She'll die if she stays." The commander looked at him with sorrow in her silver eyes. "She already knows that." Ryan froze, realizing what the Queen had meant before, a farewell. Lyra tugged his arm. "We have to save her." Ryan looked down at her, his heart breaking. "Lyra, she told me to protect you. That's what I'm doing." "I don't care," she cried. "She's my mother." Ryan's chest tightened. He had guessed they were close, but he hadn't known that. The commander stepped forward. There's no time. The rebels have breached the lower gates. If we stay, we die. Ryan's fists clenched. Then I guess we die trying. They raced back through the burning corridors. The air grew thick with smoke, the sound of energy blades clashing filling every corner. The walls of silver and light that once felt alive now cracked and bled blue sparks. Ryan's body ached, but he pushed on. He'd promised to protect Lyra, but he couldn't let her lose her mother. As they neared the throne chamber, a massive explosion shook the floor. The blast threw Ryan and Lyra to the ground. Through the smoke, shadows moved, rebels in dark armor, their eyes glowing crimson. The commander shouted, "Behind me!" and swung her sword. The blade sliced through the first attacker, sending a wave of energy crashing into two more. Ryan grabbed a fallen blaster from the floor and joined her. "Guess we're a team now. Don't make me regret it," she snapped, blocking another strike. Lyra crouched behind a pillar, whispering words in her alien tongue. The air shimmered around her, faint light glowing from her hands. The rebels froze for a second, confused. Then one of them yelled, "She's activating it. Stop her." Ryan fired, hitting one of them square in the chest. Not a chance. The fight was fast, brutal, and desperate. For every rebel that fell, another seemed to appear. But together, Ryan and the commander held the line long enough for Lyra to finish her chant. A burst of energy exploded from her, pushing the rebels back with a wave of pure light. The floor cracked under its power. Ryan stared in shock. What was that? Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. It's the heart. It's waking up. They finally reached the throne chamber. Half the ceiling was gone, revealing the burning sky above. The queen stood in the center, her armor cracked, her crown shattered, but her expression calm, like she had already accepted her fate. "Mother!" Lyra cried, running to her. The queen knelt, holding her daughter tightly. "You shouldn't have come back." Ryan stepped forward. "We couldn't leave you." The queen smiled sadly. "You have courage, human. But courage will not stop what's coming." Outside the broken walls, the rebel ship charged its main weapon. The entire sky glowed red. The commander shouted, "Your Majesty, we must evacuate now." The queen shook her head. "No. If the ship fires, this entire world will fall. There's only one way to stop it." She turned to Lyra and placed both hands on her daughter's glowing face. "The heart must awaken completely. But it requires a sacrifice, mine." Lyra shook her head violently, tears streaming down. "No. I won't let you." The queen's eyes softened. "You will live, my star. You will shine for both of us." Ryan stepped closer. "There has to be another way." The queen looked at him, and for the first time, her voice broke. "If I live, the heart will stay asleep. Our power will die, and your worlds will burn together. But if I join with it, Auralis will live." The ground shook again. The commander shouted, "They're breaking through the outer gates." The queen pressed her forehead against her daughter's. "Remember this, Lyra. You are not a weapon. You are the light that connects worlds." Then, before anyone could stop her, she raised her hands. Her body began to glow, brighter and brighter, until she was a blinding pillar of blue light. Ryan covered his eyes as the whole chamber filled with radiance. The rebel ship outside stopped its attack, its energy beam flickering, then collapsing into nothing. The queen's voice echoed through the air, soft and fading. "Protect her, and the light will protect you." When the light faded, she was gone. Only her crown remained, resting on the floor, still warm. Lyra fell to her knees, crying quietly. The commander bowed her head. Even the palace seemed to weep, its walls humming low and mournful. Ryan stood in silence, the weight of the loss pressing against his chest. The sky outside began to clear. The rebel ship was gone, vanished into the void. But the city of Auralis lay in ruins, and the queen's throne was empty. Ryan looked down at Lyra, his voice quiet but firm. "We'll rebuild. For her." Lyra looked up at him with tearful eyes that glowed brighter than ever. "She's not gone," she whispered. "She's part of the light now." And somewhere in the heavens, the heart of Auralis pulsed once again, alive. The once shining city of Auralis was now a ghost world. The floating towers hung broken and silent, their lights dimmed to a soft, haunting glow. The ocean of clouds below reflected faint blue fire, the last trace of the queen's sacrifice. Ryan stood on a balcony of the shattered palace, his armor torn, his face streaked with ash. He had survived battles before, but never something like this. This wasn't just a victory, it was loss wrapped in silence. Beside him, Lyra watched the horizon. Her small hands clutched the queen's crown, the only thing left of her mother. The mark on Ryan's chest pulsed softly, as if responding to the same heartbeat that now lived within the child. The silver-eyed commander approached quietly. Her once shining armor was scratched and burned. "We've begun searching the lower levels," she said. "There are survivors, but not many." Ryan nodded. "And the rebels?" "Gone," she replied bitterly. "Vanished like smoke." The phantom star retreated beyond the void. Ryan stared out into the empty sky. "They'll come back. They always do." The commander didn't argue. Instead, she looked at Lyra. "She hasn't spoken since last night." Ryan glanced down at the girl. "She's trying to be strong," he said quietly. "But she lost everything." The commander crossed her arms. "We all did." That night, when the stars returned to the sky, Ryan found Lyra sitting at the edge of the palace ruins. The light from the heart, that strange blue glow deep in the clouds, shimmered faintly beneath them. He sat beside her in silence. For a long time neither spoke. Finally, Lyra said softly, "She's not gone, you know." Ryan looked at her. "I know." Lyra turned to him, her eyes reflecting starlight. "When she became light, I felt her inside me, like a whisper in my chest. She told me the stars remember everything." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then maybe she's watching us right now." Lyra nodded. "She said the light would guide us home. But I don't know where home is anymore." Ryan looked up at the broken towers, the endless clouds beyond. "Maybe we'll find it together." The next morning, the survivors gathered in the grand hall, what was left of it. Cracked pillars, shattered glass, and silence filled the air. The silver-eyed commander stood before them, her voice firm but weary. "Our queen is gone," she said, her words echoing through the ruins. "But her light remains, within the heart, and within her child." She turned toward Lyra, who stood beside Ryan, her small hands trembling. "The child carries what's left of our world's soul. We will follow her. We will protect her. But we must rebuild, not for vengeance but for balance." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, agreement from some, doubt from others. One warrior stepped forward, his voice sharp. "The human brought war to our gates. How do we know his presence won't bring it again?" Ryan tensed, but before he could speak, Lyra's voice broke through the silence. "Because he saved me," she said softly. "He saved us. Without him, none of you would be here." Her words, though quiet, carried weight. Even the doubters lowered their heads. The commander nodded slowly. "Then it settled. Ryan Cole, by the oath of the Eight, you remain among us, as guardian of the heart." Ryan blinked, surprised. "Guardian?" She smirked faintly. "You earned the title the moment you stood against 8 blades for a child you didn't know." Lyra smiled for the first time in days. "Guardian of the heart," she whispered proudly. Ryan chuckled softly. "Guess that makes me official." But peace didn't last. As the survivors began to rebuild, strange signals appeared on the scanners, ghost echoes from the void. Ships, invisible to sight but heavy with energy signatures, drifted just beyond Auralis's orbit. Ryan stood with the commander in the observatory. The holographic display flickered with dots of light, faint, shifting, untraceable. "They're not attacking," Ryan said. "Just watching." The commander frowned. "The ghosts of the fallen sky," she muttered. "They wait for weakness." Ryan sighed. "Then we can't give them one." That night, Lyra woke suddenly, her eyes glowing faintly. She whispered, "She's calling." Ryan, half asleep, looked at her. "Who?" "My mother," Lyra said. "From the light below. She says something's coming, something old." Ryan sat up, alert. "Old?" Lyra nodded slowly. She said the heart is awake, but not alone. A low hum filled the room. A sound deep and ancient, rising from the depths of the planet. The walls shimmered faintly, as though the entire palace were breathing. Ryan grabbed his gear and ran to the balcony. The clouds below Auralis were glowing brighter than ever, swirling in strange patterns. The commander appeared beside him, weapon drawn. What now? Ryan stared down at the storm of light and shadow below. I think the heart just spoke. The glow grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped out beside them, her eyes glowing the same shade as the clouds. It's not just the heart, she whispered. It's something else, something waking up. The commander turned to Ryan. You said the rebels were gone. Ryan's voice was low. Yeah. But maybe they weren't the only threat. The air trembled. Distant thunder rolled across the sky. And in the far distance, beyond the shattered horizon, a new light rose. Not blue but crimson. A new power was coming. The queen had saved Auralis. But her sacrifice had also awakened something ancient that had slept beneath the stars. Ryan stared at the growing light and whispered to himself, the ghosts aren't just watching anymore. The crimson light that rose beyond Auralis was unlike anything they had ever seen. It wasn't the warm glow of sunrise. It was alive, pulsing with power, spreading across the sky like veins of fire. Ryan stood at the edge of the ruins, staring in silence. The clouds below shimmered in two colors now, blue and red, twisting together in a storm that seemed to tear the heavens apart. Beside him, Lyra held the glowing crown to her chest. It's calling, she whispered. The heart of Auralis, and something else. Something from beyond the stars. The commander joined them, scanning the skies with her visor. We're detecting ships, she said grimly. Thousands of them. They're not ours. Ryan clenched his fists. The ghosts? She shook her head. No. This is different. Older. Stronger. The ground trembled under their feet. From the horizon, a great shadow moved. A massive structure descending from the crimson storm. It looked like a temple carved from dark stone. Its surface covered in alien runes that glowed like molten fire. Lyra's eyes widened. That's the Hall of Echoes, she whispered. It's not supposed to exist anymore. Ryan looked at her. You know it. She nodded slowly. Mother told me about it. It was built before Auralis, before even the stars we know were born. It's where the first light and first darkness met. The commander frowned. And now it's falling straight toward us. By nightfall, the sky was a war of color. The crimson storm clashed with the blue light of the heart, each wave of energy shaking the planet's core. In the rebuilt chambers of the palace, Ryan gathered with the remaining warriors. Holographic maps flickered around them, showing the growing energy surge from the descending structure. It's not just a weapon, the commander said. It's rewriting the gravity field. If it lands, the planet could break apart. Ryan rubbed his temples. So we stop it before it hits. Stop it, she repeated. It's the size of a continent, Ryan. He looked at Lyra, who was studying the glowing patterns. There must be another way. Something your mother told you. Something about balance. Lyra closed her eyes, breathing slowly. She said the heart was never meant to fight. It's meant to unite. The power of Auralis doesn't destroy, it connects. That's how we stop it. Ryan blinked. Connect with what? Lyra opened her eyes. With you. Hours later, they stood on the highest platform above the clouds. The heart pulsed beneath them, its energy rising like a living tide. Lyra reached out her hands, and the blue light surrounded her, forming wings of pure energy that shimmered in the storm. Ryan stepped closer, his armor glowing faintly as the mark on his chest came alive. The same mark that had saved her life now burned like fire, syncing with the rhythm of the heart. The commander's voice echoed through the comms. Ryan, whatever you're about to do it fast. The structure is seconds from impact. Ryan looked at Lyra. You sure about this? She smiled faintly. I'm not. But I trust you. He nodded, placing his hand over hers. The light exploded around them, blue and gold merging into a beam that shot straight into the sky. The storm roared, twisting in fury. The crimson energy fought back, clashing with the light of the heart. Ryan felt his body being pulled apart by the power, his mind filled with voices, ancient and endless. He saw flashes of other worlds, other lives, the first beings who had ever touched the stars. He understood now. This wasn't just about Auralis. This was about two worlds becoming one. The human and the alien. The light and the dark. The old and the new. He screamed as the light poured through him, every nerve on fire, and then, everything went silent. When the storm finally broke, the sky was clear again. The crimson glow was gone. The Hall of Echoes had vanished. Ryan awoke lying on the same balcony where it had all begun. The ruins were gone, replaced by fresh towers of silver and crystal. Auralis had been reborn. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes glowing softly. "You did it," she whispered. Ryan sat up slowly. "No, we did." He looked around. Humans and aliens stood side by side, working together, rebuilding, healing. Ships from both worlds hovered in the skies, exchanging signals of peace. The commander approached, her once cold face soft with pride. "Looks like we're no longer two armies," she said. "We're one people now." Ryan smiled faintly. The dawn of two worlds. Lyra placed her small hand in his. Mother would be proud. He looked at her, the last heir of Auralis, and nodded. "Then we'll make sure this new world is worth what she gave." They stood together as the first true sunrise broke over Auralis. Golden light spilling across towers of silver and glass. The ghosts were gone. The darkness was ended. And for the first time since the stars had fallen, peace returned. Not because of power or blood, but because one man had chosen to protect a child not of his world. As the sun rose, Lyra whispered softly, "Do you think they'll remember us?" Ryan smiled at the horizon. "They will. Because every dawn begins with a story worth remembering." The wind carried her laughter into the bright new sky. The dawn of two worlds, born from sacrifice, courage, and light.